Good morning, everyone. This is Sean Copeland. Today is December the 5th, and welcome to a new edition of the Purpose-Driven CEO. Today on the Purpose-Driven CEO, we are going to cover a topic that has been extremely important to me in my business life and thankfully some business success, and it is called traction. And let me tell you how it kind of all falls together, and then I want to give a couple of shout outs before we begin. To be a purpose-driven CEO, to take your business or your family or your community or your church to a new level of purpose, you first have to have a successful business, family, church, community, etc. It's impossible to have a purpose-driven organization when the organization is failing. Traction has been the most important step that I have ever taken in any of my businesses or nonprofit organizations or in any leadership role to make the organization successful. So I'm going to tell you how the system works in just a moment. But first, I want to give a couple of quick shout outs. First of all, to my friend Ben Dodwell at Good Samaritan Health System. Good Samaritan is an organization here in Tulsa, Oklahoma that is absolutely remarkable. It's a faith-based organization that serves literally thousands and thousands of underprivileged individuals each year and provides them with free health care. They feel a need that is enormous. They do it in a way that is so professional and loving and very, very well-run organization, and Ben and the team, it just doesn't get much better. So if you would be interested in supporting them, it's Good Samaritan Health System here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I also want to give a quick shout out to a very, very special family to me. It's the Skuvanek family. There's Terry, who's the dad, Mick, Travis, and Justin are the sons. They are brothers. They are just amazing. Yesterday, I had the privilege of going to Garber, Oklahoma. I'm going to guess population 700, and speaking to an amazing group of men who meet on a bi-monthly basis to hear from speakers and talk about how they can further God within their community. And I got to meet this family. Mick has been a best friend of mine for years, and it was my first time to meet his family. And anyway, this just precious people. I have a great deal of admiration and love for that family. So shout out to the Skuvanek family and the folks in Garber. As an aside, real quick before we start, I would really like to plant a seed with those of you that are listening today that every community should have a group like this. We are going to create a nonprofit, Mick and I, called 94X, and our purpose is going to be to bring this type of a gathering all over the country in every community. And it's very simple. Basically, you have a guest speaker who is typically a business leader from the community that talks about their testimony and what God has done in their lives. You bring as many business leaders and community leaders together as you can on ideally a monthly basis. You have sponsors or some other form of participation. I wouldn't charge for the event, but you basically have sponsors and allow them to eat breakfast for free, find a free meeting place, or collect enough to pay rent on a nice meeting space. And I am telling you, it's the only church that many people will get, and it is a life changer. We do it in 4 different communities right now with our bank, and I am telling you, it's simple, but it is unbelievably effective. So, okay, I'm going to jump off my soapbox. Now, let's move into a quick discussion on traction. Now, traction is a management operating system that over 18,000 businesses across the United States use to help them run their business better. In a business, you have many, many systems. We have IT systems, accounts payable systems, credit systems, you name it. We got systems, but very rarely do you see a system for actually operating the organization. That's what this is, and here's why it is so important. You have limited resources, and it is important that you focus those limited resources on the most important areas and that the entire team be rowing in the same direction. You don't want to get somebody like me who is a visionary, who has a new idea every 5 minutes to drive the organization crazy. So you need a system like this. So let me tell you about it. There is a book, by the way, called Traction. It is by a gentleman named Gino Wickman, and so you can read more in depth about this. If you like the system and want to implement it in your business, we also have a certified implementation specialist at our bank. So just give me a call at Regent Bank. The gentleman's name is Jim Bigland, and he leads our Traction efforts, and he could help you set yours up as well. But here's what Traction is. Traction has 6 basic components: vision, people, data, issues, process, and then ultimately traction, which is really the system that I'll tell you about at the very end. So first and foremost, Traction encourages you to put together a shared vision. Very simply, that is your core values. These are the things that you will always do as an organization. Your core focus, what is the real focus of your work? Who is the client you are trying to serve? What are you trying to do? Your target market, and that is very specifically, who are you serving? And again, the core focus is really what you do. The target market is who you serve, and then you list 3 uniques. What are the 3 things that makes your business different from everyone else? And I'm using business, but again, this works in any organization. What are the 3 things that make you different? And then you're going to set 1, 3, and 10-year targets for who you want the organization to be, and everybody, you share it with all of your employees, and they are all on the same page. Then you move into the people component. People is really probably the most important, and what you're trying to do here is you're trying to make sure you have the right people in the right seats. Traction has a system called the People Analyzer, in which you take all of your employees and you run them through your core values, okay? And you basically say, like, we have 7 core values at Regent Bank. All employees have to meet at least 5 of those perfectly on a nonstop basis, and then you can have up to 2 that they mostly meet, and then sometimes will struggle. Like, we have a lifelong learner is one of our core values. That's a hard one for some employees to meet, but show you care is our foundational core value, and every employee must meet that core value. So you'll run your people through the People Analyzer. You create what is called an accountability chart. An accountability chart is like an organizational chart, but it lists the top 5 responsibilities of each position, so it makes sure that there's no overlap between the 2, and it makes it very clear who is responsible for what. On the accountability chart, you typically have a visionary who is very, very big picture. They're usually a rainmaker. A lot of times they're the founder. They have a lot of new ideas. Visionary is basically yours truly. And then you have an integrator who is really the one that makes everything happen, keeps the trains running on time, what you would consider a very typical chief operating officer. So the integrator really actually runs the business. The visionary presents 20 ideas. The integrator determines which 2 are actually good ones. And so you have a visionary, then you have an integrator, and then all of the C-level employees report up to the integrator, and you have someone that heads up marketing and sales, someone that heads up operations, someone that heads up finance, and then someone that heads up administration. And you can have little tweaks based upon the type of business, but that's the general people structure that you are looking for. But you're making sure you have the right people in the right seats. Then you move on to data. These are which numbers matter the most. So you're going to choose up to 7 key performance indicators that really drive your business. Now, ideally, these are leading indicators. So it might be a pipeline or some type of activity score that helps to determine future productivity. But you track these on a monthly basis, on a 12-month rolling basis. So it kind of looks like a bowling scorecard. And you're looking for trends. So you're looking for, things to move up or down, and that'll help you locate problems within the business sooner. You determine who is accountable for each of those 7 key KPIs. And then what you do in a traction meeting, which we'll talk about in a moment, you're just going to give them a red light, yellow light, or green light. Green light means everything's good. Yellow light means you're kind of on the border. Red light means there's a problem, and that's when you stop and talk about it. Then there is an issues component, and I think this is possibly the most magical thing about traction right now. Many businesses have one person making all the decisions, or they can't really come to a decision. They're trying to get consensus on everything, and so if there's any kind of controversy, they just sweep it under the rug. And so issues section of traction, we want to make decisions faster. So we're going to discuss on a regular basis what isn't working. We're going to create an issues list of what isn't working. We're going to cover 3 per meeting. Your executive team is going to meet on a weekly or bi-weekly cadence, and we'll talk about that at the very end. But in those meetings, you are going to talk about at least 3 issues that need to be corrected, and it's very simple. You identify the issue, you discuss the issue, and you solve the issue. And you determine how you are going to make decisions. We make decisions on a democratic basis. I am not the dictator of Regent Bank. When things aren't working, we talk about them, talk about what to do, vote on the decision. A lot of times we will disagree on which way to go, but we just talk it out and vote as a group. And it is truly magical when you just begin to run issues through quickly and make quick decisions. The organization gets better much, much faster. Next, you're going to move into the process portion of traction, which is think about McDonald's and how they have a franchise prototype. Any McDonald's you go into, it looks the same, feels the same, has the same processes. That's what you want your business to feel like. So you are going to document 7 key core processes within the business, and you'll determine what those 7 most important processes are. But you get them down. You only go with high-level steps. You're not having to get real detailed, but everybody has to follow these. So if you're like us and you're expanding, every new market has to follow the same process for these 7 key core processes. And then finally is the traction piece. And this is the most important. Traction is designed to create clarity and accountability within the organization. And here's how it does. You go through the first 5 steps that I've already listed: vision, people, data, issues, and process. But what you do in traction is this is how you put it all into practice, okay? And there is a meeting cadence. And I know when I say the name meeting that it makes everybody your skin crawl, because nobody likes meetings, but these will change the world for you. So first of all, you have a weekly or bi-weekly, it's called an L10 meeting because you rank it from 1 to 10 at the end of the meeting. This is with your executive team, and it deals with issues and accountability. And this is where you'll give a brief roundtable report on what's going on. You'll go through your rocks, which we'll talk about here in just a second, your strategic priorities to make sure they are on task. Then you move into issues, what is not working within the organization, and then you're going to have any cascading comments that need to go out into the rest of the organization.